The following Degrassi video contains a discussion about suicide and harmful topics that are definitely not suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. This video is rated 18 plus because of it. Hey there, Heather Hurler, it's Jeff Cutter Dabbit welcoming you to another Degrassism / poll. Now, I know this poll is a little controversial, and the topic is, well, about suicide within Degrassi, so hopefully nobody gets any great ideas. But the fact of the matter is that I decided to do this video because I was always intrigued on the whole Cam situation. I've done some Degrassiisms on Cam stuff. But the fact of the matter is, what about, is anyone really to blame for Cam's death? So for those of you who don't really know this thing in Degrassi, I will give some context. So it's the start of season 12. And basically Snake decides to finally get rid of the uniform code and all that. Allegedly, the writers put this in because, then they didn't have to use much of a budget for clothes. But the fact of the matter is that in addition to the uniforms leaving, a group of hockey players would move to Degrassi and play for the Toronto Icehounds. Now, people assume that the Icehounds were Degrassi's hockey team, but no, it wasn't Degrassi's hockey team. For one, they're called the Panthers, and another thing is that it is possible it's a major junior hockey team or a junior team that feeds players to the NHL and to the NCAA and whatever. As someone who lives in Kitchener, I know firsthand that that's the case. Because after all, the Kitchener Rangers play, and not every player is from the Kitchener area. So, they come from all around, even Americans too. So, yeah, as a Kitchener Ranger fan, I know about the situation firsthand. So, of course, we're introducing players like Dallas, Luke Baker, who came from Florida to play hockey, and Florida's not really a hockey hotbed, despite the fact they did win the Stanley Cup in 2024, which I actually cheered for over Edmonton. Not because you'll be thinking, you're Canadian, why aren't you cheering for Edmonton? I just thought that Florida had the better package. Nevertheless, the fact of the matter is that the Icehounds were there, and Cam was this hotshot prospect coming from Kapuskasing, about 10 hours away from Toronto, well, up in Northern Ontario, where only like 10, they say 90% of the population lives in Southern Ontario, like of our province. But the fact of the matter, guys, is this, that Cam was alone. He wasn't feeling great about it. His parents video conferenced him a few times, but he just wanted to go home, but he just felt lonely and isolated and all that. And most players do feel homesick and all that. He didn't really get the support. And he had this puppy dog admiration for Maya, but Sig didn't like it because he wanted to be with Maya. So Sig, in a sense, gets Cam so wound up that Cam beats up on Sig during an intramural floor hockey game. And Maya refuses to help Cam out, saying that, I don't know how Cam snapped. Because Maya knows that Sig provoked Cam, but Maya keeps quiet. I think mostly because she's worried about what Sig will do to her. Cam gets suspended for a week, and Cam does go to Maya's house to apologize for everything, and he stays over the house, but then leaves the house and takes Maya's stuffed doll Hoot with him. He's going to give it back to her in front of the school, but Sig comes roaring by and basically says, if you love Maya, stay the hell away from her. Sig takes that to heart and then walks away. And then when Claire and Eli were planning a picnic, Eli goes to the greenhouse and then sees Cam's mutilated body and basically tells Claire to call 911. Cam is positively identified, and Simpson tells Maya this step, but Maya just wants to play cello and all that. She's kind of cold and distant. At the vigil for Cam, she basically says that Cam was selfish for killing himself. And I get Maya. Like, I understand her issues. The hockey team, especially Dallas being the captain, blames himself, smashes some stuff, and basically is upset over everything. He goes to the roof, and thankfully Fiona talks him down from the roof. So everyone feels terrible about themselves. Maya, of course, keeps internalizing her guilt over the camp situation, and it spills out over a couple of rants against her family. And it spills out in season 14, especially season 14, when she was with Miles. It seemed to be that, she liked Miles, but Miles was exhibiting weird behaviors, and Maya was having dreams about Miles having the same problems Cam did. And Maya says she needed to go to therapy. But Maya doesn't mention Cam by name, which I think would have helped her in a lot of things. So anyhow, Maya then goes towards Miles. Miles goes to her on social media, and Maya says she can't have this issue happen again. She didn't want her boyfriend to kill herself for the second time. So she breaks into Miles' house, does some weird stuff, protects Miles from a hit and run, where he accidentally crashes into the vehicle of Miles' girlfriend Vanessa and their baby Rocky. Maya's told that you have to stop doing this for the boy. You can't ruin your life because of one boy, and you have to. If people can't help themselves, you can't help them. So she tells Miles to get the help he needs, and Miles, after finally getting revenge on his dad and all that during that fire starter, Maya walks away smiling because she knows that she's fixed the problem, or does she? But in next class, everything comes back. Yeah. So what I did was I did a poll a week ago. And of course, it's being taped on January 18th, 2025 for context. And it says, if you were to blame anyone for Cam's death, who do you blame? There are many people who did well in this situation, but if you were to blame one person for Cam's death, and I don't think a lot of people would have, who would it be? So I had 6 options, and you will see the poll at the end of the video to prove my point. So there were 116 votes, and first place got 57. There was actually a tie for second, if you will. Well, the second and third were nail biters. So here we go. Make sure I do this right. All right, so I'm going to say, 6 options. Option number, coming in at number 6 on the list is Principal Simpson. I didn't understand Cam's problems and thought it was just rage. Well, 2 of the 116 people put for Principal Simpson. Why would I blame Principal Simpson? Well, he's the be all end all, if you will. That's kind of the term I use for Radish in season 4. Is that basically Simpson is the principal. He's the main man. He's the main adult. He should be stopping the situation and all that. So when I look at it, is that Principal Simpson didn't understand Cam's problems and all that. If he did, I think he would have helped Cam out because Simpson's used to this. But because he didn't know, he just had to assume that Cam was just full of rage and gave him the 5-day suspension and all of that. I bet you Principal Simpson was just kicking himself, saying that with the whole thing with Cam, is that logically he should have helped and all that. Number 5 on the list with 3 votes was Dallas. As captain of the hockey team, he should have been more supportive. That's the reasoning I put to him. The fact of the matter is that Dallas, was goading him. The other teammates were, including Luke, were goading him and all that because he was his hot shot and he was trying to help the team and he didn't like hockey anymore and he wanted to slash his wrists to make sure he doesn't play hockey anymore because of Maya. Of course, the hockey team doesn't help matters by laughing at his relationship with Maya. But Dallas does take responsibility in a sense. He does blame Allie for not realizing things. But the fact of the matter was that he was kind of trying to alleviate his own guilt. And he smashes a display case and goes up to the roof, as I said. And Fiona thankfully talks him off, saying that you have something to live for, and that's Rocky, Dallas' son. And Mike Dallas says, I know all about being from a faraway place for hockey. And he's from Guelph, kind of close to where I am in Kitchener. But yeah, and yes, Kitchener and Guelph are hockey rivals, but I don't hate Guelph as much as I do London. Anyhow, number 4 with 11 votes was the staff for not getting Cam at all. I know I should have put the students down as an option too. I should have. But regardless of that, the staff is that, staff/students. I'll probably say staff/students because they didn't understand Cam at all. I mean, Where was the support for Cam and all that? Yes, Snake failed too, but what about the uh, lost my train of thought. The guidance counselor. It wasn't Sove anymore. It was Miss Jean Arc or something. I don't know who the counselor was. No, Jean Arc was the French teacher. My fault. But regardless of that, the staff and students didn't get Cam at all. They didn't. They didn't understand Cam's problems and all that, and just thought that Cam was just full of rage and Cam was just terrible. I can't really explain it that well. My apologies. Number 3 on the list with 21 votes, just missing out on second place, was Sig. And I said he was the last straw for Cam to break because of his jealousy over Maya. Of course, people said, why would you blame Sig and all that? But the fact of the matter is that Sig was a jealous boyfriend and wanted to be with Maya in season 12 and was upset that Maya kind of chose Cam over him. So Sig, in that intramural floor hockey thing, got on Cam's nerves on purpose so that Cam would blow up and that Maya would see how much Cam is a inferno and basically win Maya back. And he must have put pressure on Maya because why would Maya not say to Principal Simpson about Cam saying and blame Sig? I mean, Maya was probably scared. I mean, Sig was still, I think he was still in a gang or something at that time. I don't think so, but yeah, but Sig was using his influences to try to do something. And I think that Maya was worried about what Sig would do to her. So Maya basically said no. And basically what ends up happening is that Sig kind of wins in the end. And then when he sees Cam in front of the school, he tells Cam, stay away from Maya. You know, Sig was hoping to win out. Sig, of course, did not know that that was the last straw for Cam and what he did. But Sig won Maya in the end. But then Maya becomes a little more promiscuous. She and Sig have awkward relationships with each other for many seasons. They end up together at the last bit of um, next class. But the fact of the matter is that Sig was kind of a jealous lover. I think that Sig wanted to be with Maya, but was absolutely jealous when Maya wanted to be with someone else. And when Sig was with Maya, he had a wandering eye. Like, you know, Sig was trying to get at Maya's mental health. Now, it's important to know that I didn't put Maya in because why would I blame Maya? You can't blame Maya for Cam's death or for Cam's problems and all that. Maya was trying to help and all that. Number 2 is with 22 votes was other specifying comments. I'm going to change that up. I'm going to say you can't really blame anyone for Cam's death. A lot of people said that in a sense. The stars must wait, said no one. Sorry, I know that's not one of the answers, but this is pretty important. Cam was depressed, homesick, self-harming, and suicidal. That's not his fault. The fact is he didn't feel like he could ask for help, and the people around him didn't know he needed it. He had stressors in his life that contributed to things, and it drove him to suicide. He needed help and didn't get it. It's a tragedy, but it's not really anyone's fault. One person also said, you can't solely blame one person for Cam's death because he was mentally ill, anything that could have triggered that reaction. But, yeah. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, that's what happened and all that. A lot of people said, well, you know, Cam did all that. But number 1 with 59 votes. Was it 59? I won. 57 out of 116. So half of 116 is 58. So just missing by 1 vote to make it 50%. The 50% rule is Cam himself. Give you a take. Where's that take? Oh, Sanaya said, ultimately the person, who made the choice was Cam himself. That's why I chose him. I don't think anyone should be blamed. I think in part the school should have done more to make sure all students have resources available. And the students would have been more empathetic. But with Cam's rampant emotions, he probably should have seen a doctor to help him out. Everyone has to take accountability. Right. So Cam and I just basically said when I I said, Cam not telling people enough about his struggles. People in the chat were basically saying, what were you saying with that? So yeah, at the end of the day, Cam himself was his own worst enemy. It's like Rick in season 4. Cam was his own worst enemy. And the fortunate fact is that, you know, Cam should have said something. Cam should have went to the school, should have went to the guidance counselor, should have talked to the hockey team, should have done all this. The hockey team probably would have laughed at him. The school would have helped him. Principal Simpson would have definitely had to do something, because if he failed, he would have had flashbacks to season 4 when he didn't address things enough with Rick and all that. He knew Rick was being bullied and was basically a pariah, and knew that Raj was just doing nothing about it. His mentor. But the fact of the matter is that at the end of the day, Cam did this to himself. Yes, they pushed him over the edge. Yes, the hockey team didn't help him. Yes, the school didn't help him, but Cam himself was just his own worst enemy and all that. And 2 more points I'm going to make. Number 1 is the fact is, and I did forget to say this, and I know if you're a follower of my Degrassi videos, you know I like to make this point, that when Cam was found in the greenhouse, we don't know what happened to him. Degrassi didn't want to glorify his suicide, which was smart. And a lot of people said he slashed him with his skate. He hung himself. But as I said many years ago, I said Cam probably drank garden chemicals because it was a greenhouse and probably died from it. Hell, he could have even drank some chemicals and then under the influence slashed himself. So, it could have been a combination of the two. That's something I kind of remembered. I was like, that's actually true. But of course, as I like to point out, as someone who's worked in the Canadian Tire garden compound for 3 years, I know about toxicity of chemicals and also the fact of, soils and all that. But yeah, I know this firsthand and it makes sense. And then people said, oh my God, this is a good hypothesis. So, like, he poisoned himself. But it doesn't mean he didn't slash himself under the influence. He could have drank it and then slashed himself. But at the end of the day, there's one comment that I like. And this is from Dependent Fortune 756. And she goes, I think at the end of the day, it was a combination of all of those factors. Cam didn't talk about it because he wanted to do it and not be stopped. Sig said something he could never take back, and he has to live with that. Simpson didn't take him seriously because the stigma of depression is just sad, and no one realizes it. Shows himself as rage. Dallas had tunnel vision. He didn't want anyone to jeopardize that. Remember, no one knew Dallas had a kid. That's multiple failures to work towards. Cam was Dallas' teammate, and as his captain, he failed to check in on all of his teammates. And Dallas took it out on himself. Cam was homesick, and he didn't know how to make himself fit at Degrassi, except with Maya. And I'm like, that is damn right. I like that point. I'm going to end this video with that point. That point works wonders. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.